we had Jaden on the 13th of April this year at RPA Hospital. And before I had Jaden, I was a primary teacher at Claremont College. When I found out I was pregnant, I was very excited. At about week 11, we had what's called a nuptial translucency test. With those tests, they placed us into a very high-risk category for having a child with Down syndrome. So I received a call from the doctor saying, yes, your child does have Down syndrome. And that was really hard. A flood of thoughts came into my mind, and most of them were fears. One was the fear about his future, whether he'd ever get a job, whether he'd have friends, whether he'd be able to cope in society, what he would do and how he would live if something happened to Phil and I. The other fears that I had were whether I could raise him, whether I could do what needed to be done to help him cope in life and thrive. I guess I did want him to be a child that thrived, not just coped. So I was worried that I'd be embarrassed that he was my child, and that I would be embarrassed about showing him to others, and embarrassed about him being my baby, and how he would look, and how I'd cope with that. There are a number of groups of people who prayed for Jaden. I think he's been the most prayed for child in the history of the world, actually. But I had my church community, the Barnabas, at Broadway at that stage, saying that we would be in this together, and most of all that God would bless us with this child and help us to look after him. When he was born, he was just so gorgeous. You couldn't help but fall in love with him. He was this beautiful little boy who just came out, and that was it. I think he's so beautiful, he's so smiley. He loves us to bits, and we love him to bits. And people are still praying, and I think God's been really good to us and answered the prayers with a yes, a big yes. Well, in 2 weeks it's going to be Christmas. It's going to be JJ's first Christmas. We get to celebrate together, and we celebrate Jesus' birth. And we're pretty excited about this because when I was 16 I became a Christian and learned that Jesus meant that I could be in a relationship with God, in a good relationship with God, and that just means I can trust in him and not be worried, because I know that he's going to look after me and him.